to those who aren't. Good morning to those who are just waking up. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I'm Oliver Perry, back again on another live. Today is day 11 of the 30-day 500K challenge, where I get here on live and I'm raising money for real estate, particularly multifamily real estate, and a few single family FIPS as well. If real estate investing is something that you're interested in, please feel free to shoot me a message here while we're on, or you can shoot me a message on my other platforms: IG, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all under the Oliver Perry on every one of those platforms. So I hope you're having a great night. I hope everything is going well this evening. Today, wanted to talk about two things. Actually, there's really one thing, but it's two different pieces under that one thing. And continuing on the theme of simple definitions for multifamily, because I'm assuming a lot of people don't know what some of these terms are. So I want to make sure you're educated on the terms so that when you go into investing into whatever property passively, or even as a GP, you'll have the ability to know what some of these terms are. And today's terms are unit mix, and value add. So we're going to start with the easy one, and that's unit mix. Unit mix is simply how the units are mixed in whatever the property is. This popped into mind while I was just on an underwriting call with a good friend of mine. Shout out to Hema and shout out to Troy for their work there. I'm going to tag them in there so you guys can show them some love as well. So they run an underwriting call, and while we were on the call, someone mentioned the unit mix, which is something that I don't think everybody always hears, for number one. Number two, or at least those who are starting out don't always hear that. So those who don't and who are getting into becoming LPs and passively invest, or even those who are starting out as GPs, this is for you. Unit mix is just the mixture of whatever units you have in the property. So what I mean by that is, for example, let's assume you have a 3-bed, 2-bath in a 40 unit, but that's only 10 of those units. The others are 2-1, right? So that means 10 of the units are 3-2, 10 of the units are 3-2. The other 30 are 2-1, right? So that's the mixture of what the units look like. And you want to know that because it changes how the rent is going to look. It may change how some of your repairs or the square footage you need to be concerned about on whatever the units are. It can affect, your overall numbers and things of that nature, but that's all part of what you're going to take into account when doing the underwriting process, which is a whole nother process that I'm not super great on, and I'm not going to teach you guys until I've fully learned it and have a better understanding of it, because I don't want to lead you down the wrong path. What I might very well do is bring somebody on here who is better at it than me, that can explain it in very, very easy terms for us both to digest. So in the meantime, we're going to talk about value add as well. What is value add for a property? All right, when looking at a multifamily property, value add is simply the idea that you're adding value to the property. And it sounds simple when I say it, yes, but there's more to it. With multifamily, a value add can happen all kinds of ways. It can happen with the management. It can happen by you adding some amenities. It can happen by you doing more sustainable energy type things. It can happen by you putting in bike storage. It could happen with you putting in garages, and if you're in a bigger city. It could happen for you by putting a parking lot out there, putting a playground. There's so many ways that you can increase the value of the property with just doing those things. Now, one of the biggest ones, the one that I see the most often, particularly with the mom and pop shop properties that are being purchased, is the changing of management. So what happens is there's still properties that exist where they take what we call the T1 or the T6, and I'll get into that another time, but basically it's all the history of all the rent that comes in, a rent roll, long short. So for now, that's what just see it as a rent roll. It's a rent roll of all the rent that somebody has paid for the last 10 months, the last 6 months or the last 12 months. Thus the name T6, T12. So what happens is these mom and pops have been playing this game forever. They've been doing this work, but they have not modernized their systems. They haven't upgraded their systems. They're literally writing this stuff out on napkins. They're doing it on papers. They'll come in with like boxes and notebooks like note paper like this with all the expenses annotated and things like that by hand. Now, you'd assume this kind of thing no longer happens based on the current technology and people having computers. Let's be honest, some of us still have a grandma who can't seem to work the iPhone, right? It just is what it is. It's that generational, not the generational gap, but a generational change in that understanding of how some of the technology works. It just doesn't work for everybody. Shoot, I know some 20, 30-year-olds that have a difficult time working their phone, right? It just is what it is. Some people aren't always technologically inclined as opposed to others. So with that being said, that's how one of the biggest and easiest ways to that I've seen, at least, that people add value to multifamily properties. They come in, they take over management of the property, and they change how things are managed to become more efficient, more user-friendly, and easier for the tenants as well as the owners, thus changing the pricing of the property because it becomes more efficient. So they'll go from a 50% occupancy rate to 95% occupancy rate just based off of management changing out. The word gets out. Word of mouth is the best way to advertise when you can do it right, most effective, and that word of mouth takes it and runs with it and ends up creating this whole wave of people who want to live at the property now because they understand the change that's happening. The next one, none of the other ones you could say, these are all physical following that one. That one's the main one that is really more not actually on hand, not by hand. It's a change, sure, it's a physical change, but it's not a physical change to the property itself. Now, that management change may result in a physical change of the property, sure, but we're going to get into the physical changes that you could change. Like I said, you can do the parking lot. You can upgrade common areas. A lot of the apartment complexes, particularly when you're looking at some of the larger ones, they have common areas, and these common areas could be a laundry room, whatever. It could be a little pool hall, whatever it is. But upgrading the stuff that's in there makes it, a gym is a perfect example. Having a gym in one is a really, really good example because you see that in the larger cities, in the larger areas, and they're normally in the A class, B class, and sometimes in the C class as well. But having a gym, a nice gym, is a draw to those who want to live there, particularly those who are still in the stage where they're doing the renting. They don't have a large family. They still want to stay in shape, all these kind of things. And that's a large population, but having that opportunity, having that availability, not saying that those who have families don't want to be in shape, but just saying normally in those larger luxury class A in the middle of downtown, you're not going to see a 4-kid family living in that apartment. It's not as often. Right. So having those kind of amenities is great, particularly, again, like we said, in the city, when you have parking lots, when you have parking garages, that adds a modicum of safety as well as ease of that person's life. So they can go and park into the parking garage and walk their groceries to their room, to their house, or to their apartment, that is. Or they can go in the parking lot, in the parking garage, lock up their car and don't feel like they're going to get robbed. Another one that isn't as at least widely spoken that I've heard of, and maybe it's because it has maybe a smaller effect, is efficiencies. And what I mean by that is energy efficient dishwashers, energy efficient washing machines, energy efficient dryers, changing out the bulbs to the longer lasting bulbs. And I haven't seen this on anybody's, possibly solar panels could be one as well, right? These are all efficiency things that allow the owner to cut back on the expense and to gain that long-term value on the other side. Now, solar panels, there's a lot of tricks with that, all that stuff, but just for argument's sake and for basic sake, just these things are made to be efficient. Efficient lights, efficient dishwasher and dryer, like I said, those kind of things. Anything to save that energy so it cuts down on the cost is always a good thing. Next, being pet friendly. Being pet friendly is another one. Some places don't allow people to bring in pets. Allowing people to bring pets in is always going to be something that can add value to the renter or the tenant. It is a little bit more difficult for you as the owner because you may have to replace, but you're going to have to replace carpets and things of that nature. But if you've got apartment complexes, hardwood floors throughout, you're going to be spending a lot less time replacing carpets when all you have is hardwood floors, right? So little things like that. So these are, let me see if there's anything else. Oh, of course you can improve curb appeal. And that's really it. Yeah, and now there's a bunch of others. Don't get me wrong, but these are just the 5 examples that I have, and it's just to put it in perspective what the value add is. Curb appeal is really an easy one. That one you see all the time on HGTV, making it look good so when people drive by it, they look and they say, "I like that place," right? I like the way it looks. I would not mind living there. These are all things that we know living in single family homes, even renting a single family home, even in seeing some of the apartments or properties that you see up and down the street in the road. You know what a good looking property looks like. You know what a bad looking property looks like. It just is what it is. So I hope that was helpful. I've got to go. Sorry to be so quick. If you're interested in real estate investing, please, by all means, shoot me a message. I'll leave my Calendly link in the description boxes on whatever platform you're on, if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. I'm going to leave my Calendly link there. You can schedule a 15-minute call. You and I can talk real estate. We can talk about how you can invest in real estate, and maybe there's some way that I might be able to help you out. So in the meantime, remember, you're better than you were, but you're not half as good as you're going to be. Oh, it is Thursday. So yesterday, the podcast was released. Podcast was released on all platforms. I also have a YouTube channel, The Oliver Perry Show on YouTube. You can check those out there. It's with a gentleman by the name of Vadim Ray. And Vadim is a beast of a multifamily investor. He is currently working on, I think it's a 600 some odd unit property. I'll let him put that out more than anything else, but he's definitely working hard. Him and his team at Fairwinds Capital. Fairwinds Investment. I want to say it's Fairwinds Investments. But they are amazing group of guys, all military officers. And they are just, I don't know, they're just stand-up guys. So hopefully you check them out. Hopefully you enjoy them. Have a great day. Remember, you're better than you were, but you're not half as good as you're going to be. And I'm signing out again. All right, guys. See you later.